Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm so happy to have you. To my previous subscribers, welcome back to the channel. So for today's video in particular, we're going to be talking about the government shutdown and the possibility of the government reopening. As of right now, there are rumors saying that the government is reopened. It is not reopened. A bill was put forth by the U.S. Senate, led by Chuck Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. He made a deal with the Republican Majority Leader Dune, and they were able to strike a deal. The problem is the Democrats here promised to be able to defend the American people and to do what they wanted and be able to make sure that Donald Trump does not do away with certain benefits. However, Chuck Schumer gave in, the Democratic Party gave in, and decided to screw that and just reopen the government. And that's what they're planning to do. So 6 Democrats flipped over to the Republican Party side to reopen the government. So the bill has been put forth to the House of Representatives, and the House of Representatives is going to decide whether or not they're going to open or to stay closed. We're going to find out in today's video what is happening and what can we expect from the government. Is the government going to reopen? How would the House of Representatives vote? Will us be affected by this? What can we expect? How will Donald Trump be affected? That's what we're going to find out in today's video. This video is just being recorded on Monday, November the 10th at 2:34 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this video is just for entertainment, for educational purposes only as well. And if you want to help out the channel, bro, you can do so by liking, commenting, subscribing, hitting the bell icon, engaging with the content, and sharing this video with others really helps boost the algorithm here on this YouTube channel. And for those of you guys who have done just that, I do want to highlight the community spotlight for the week. We do this every week. But I want to highlight Taurus 16, Joshua V. We have here Dennis Tucker, Black Horse, and Tracy Wilson. Thank you for all you guys for helping the channel out, for trying to grow it, and just to be an active part of the community. It does not go unnoticed. And this is not selected by me. This is selected by AI based on how long you watch a video, whether you like a video, whether you comment, whether you rewatch a video, you've been engaged in some formality. That is how they metric this, and I always try to make sure you guys are always within the spotlight. So thank you guys for everything. And if you want to be notified and stay in the loop when I do post and upload next, go into the comment section below or my description and follow my Blue Sky account and my Facebook group, and I will personally notify you when I do upload next. I also do have a cooking channel link as well if you're interested in cooking. Anyway, let's go ahead. Let's move on. I hate long intros, and so do you. So let's find out whether or not the U.S. government is going to reopen via the bill that's being sent right now to the House of Representatives. Let's find out. Okay, so Conspiracy Angels, tell me, will the House of Representatives vote in favor of reopening the United States government after the longest government shutdown in U.S. history? Will the U.S. government be reopened via the House? Will the Republican-controlled majority in the House of Representatives vote in favor of reopening the United States government? Will the House of Representatives reopen the United States government, ending the 40-day longest streak government shutdown in U.S. history? Okay, so we have a challenge here. The challenge is the star. This is the presidency. This is the Ace of Pentacles. This is the Knight of Swords. So yes, they are going to reopen the government, but there is a gotcha. There is like a but. That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing there's a but. Here we have the star card in the past. The star card represents the presidency, represents the administration. This actually prohibited Donald Trump from doing certain things with the House of Representatives in terms of getting an agenda across. It gave the Democrats what they needed. It gave them the boost in 2025 elections across the entirety of the United States. This is the star card. So it benefited the Democrats, but also benefited the Republicans as well. But in a way, Donald Trump is going to be in a little bit of a world of hurt because the House of Representatives, if it's open, is going to have to vote on the Epstein files. In particular, it's going to have to swear in the representative from Arizona, who will be the 218th vote to release the Epstein file. We have the Ace of Pentacles. The Ace of Pentacles means an opportunity or a proposal. This is the reopen. This is from the U.S. Senate. It already got passed by the Senate. It's now heading its way into the House of Representatives to reopen the government. This is the proposal. This is the bill. We have here with the Knight of Swords. The House of representative is going to head in that direction. They're going to head towards that proposal. The question is told in the story. I'm not 100% confident they're going to reopen because it does look like the story, if it swings, it's a pusher. If they don't swing it, but they're just heading up, running with the story up, that means mental clarity, that a lot of them are in favor. So it didn't mean that they're going to butcher the proposal, demand renegotiation, or they're going to head with it forward and reopen the government. But it does seem temporary. It doesn't seem like this is going to be like a permanent thing. It does feel like this is temporary. I do expect another government shutdown leading into next year, early next year, because I do see temporary here. I don't see permanent. We do have here as well, we do have the lover's card, and the lover's card means a reopening, a temporary proposal to reopen the government. You see here, you see the same amount of air that's being circulated, the proposal. This is the reunification. I do feel like all three branches of the government will now be functional once again. And here you have it, the hermit. This is temporary. This is darkness within the light. So there is some light in the darkness, but it is surrounded by pure darkness, which tells me that this is just temporary. This is like a band-aid fix, which tells me they're probably going to extend the deadline for the government shutdown. I mean, not extend the government shutdown deadline, but it might extend the funding for the country, but it's not something that's going to be rooted in an official proposal that's, going to dictate how countries run. We have here as well as underneath the deck of cards, we have the 10 of swords. So this is a bad ending, at least for the United States. America suffered at the helm of Congress. This is the 5 of cups. Not very good long term. And we do also have here, we have the Queen of Cups reversed. This puts the Democrats at a disadvantage. I do feel like the Democrats are going to seem very weak. And I do feel like there is going to be something that's going to be brought forth. Because I do feel like with a lot of infighting within the Democratic Party going on now, especially with Mamdani winning, is going to divide the Democratic Party. So definitely expect going forward the Democrats to be kind of on the weaker end, where the Republicans are going to be at more of the advantage temporarily. But the Democrats will be in a world of hurt because it's now going to be a realignment going on within the Democratic Party right now, where people have to decide what does it mean to be a Democrat? And that's something that's going to be really keynote here, especially as we head into the 2026 midterms. All right, so now that we understand the House of Representatives, we understand the layout, they're going to reopen the government, but it's going to be temporary. We're going to take a look at now and find out how is it going to affect me and how is it going to affect you. Let's look at that. So Spiritual Angels, tell me, how will the the reopening of the U.S. government affect the American people? How will the reopening of the government, both the House of Congress the House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate, plus all other governmental agencies, how would it be opened? And how would it affect us? Ooh. I feel like there's a temporary, there is not everything opened up. Even though the government opened up, it doesn't feel like a lot of the amenities, a lot of the facilities reopen. It feels like only certain sectors of the government opens. So we're saying, tell me, with the possible reopening of the U.S. government, right, and ending the governmental shutdown, what kind of effect will that have on the American people going forward with the reopening of the government? At least temporarily, according to what I got in the tarot cards. There's something hidden, that's for sure. Something's hidden. We have the 5 of cups. I do feel like what kind of effect will it have on Americans? Americans will be drinking. So this is a really bad sign because the 5 of cups simply symbolizes when people are going to alcohol or bars or clubs or whatever just to drink. That normally the first indicator of recession, and also it's the first indicator of depression because people have to drink away a lot of their pain. So these are the first indicators of economic downturn. So that's the first indicator. The bottom of the deck here is we have the 10 of Wands. The 10 of Wands reversed, which means increase in opportunity. So what does this mean? It means that the American people want an increase in opportunity, but they're not seeing that from the government. So they might take the opportunity to create those opportunities. So what does that mean? That essentially means that maybe American people might get more invested in Instead of voting for politicians and hoping that maybe they serve you, instead we're going to start to see more people start to be more actively involved, a lot more engaged in politics, even so much so they're going to start running for governmental office. And behind that opportunity, we have here the Leo. Something that doesn't belong where it is, but finds itself anyway. This is the Leo card. It's simply symbolizing that the American people are being met with extraordinary circumstances to the point where they have to find themselves in an environment in which they do not belong in order to receive what they are desiring. So it just essentially means that American people are going to become more actively engaged in politics. They're going to run for office. And because somebody in politics already is not representing the American people or their constituents correctly. And so somebody else is going to take the mantle to do just that. So we have the Nine of Wands here. This is heading in the future, which tells me we're asking the question, what kind of effect will the reopening of the U.S. government have on the American people, including me and you? Well, we have the Nine of Wands here. It does indicate there is some sort of blockages or some sort of change to the healthcare industry. So I do feel like there is some change there. We have here as well as we have the Five of Cups. This tells me there is some certain agencies that is not at full capacity or better yet not fully functional. So it does mean that the infrastructure of the U.S. government is actually a lot weaker than before it went into shutdown. I'm seeing a lot of people already left, and they're not coming back. There's instability. There is a great lack of security, and I do feel like that is going to weaken the U.S. government. Therefore, it's going to trickle down and it's going to affect the average American person. I do see governmental facilities not at full capacity. We have here as well as we have the World card in reverse. This is a card that symbolizes when it's reversed, the world shut down. It is reversed. It does feel like in some way, even though they're going to announce that, everything is all open and the government is open again, there is going to be some aspect of a shutdown. It does feel like something is not fully at full capacity, something is not at full 100%. It does feel like something is being shut off, something is not working as intended. It could be the form of government. It could be maybe the government is not working for the people. I don't know. But I feel like, if anything, this is more strenuous. This is more like the infrastructure itself has failed. It's no longer functioning anymore, like I said prior. We have here as well as we have the Ten of Swords, which means betrayal, which means an ending or a backstabbing. I do feel like even though they're going to open up this government, it isn't really necessarily to open up the government for the people or the governmental workers. It's really just to open up the government just for temporary. I'm seeing temporary, like to get people through the holidays, for them to not talk about how bad the government is. Right? If you say, for example, the government remains shut down and until Thanksgiving, the Republicans are going to get blamed, especially people are going to be talking about it at Thanksgiving. They're hoping to alleviate that type of publicity. But we also do have the Sun card here as well. Eventually, over time, the American people will come out of this stronger, but there is an if. There is an if, and that is the but. The but is essentially saying that although these things are reopening and the government is opening, it's not at full capacity. The American people feel like the government is not working for them, it's working against them, it's not within their best interest, so the American people are more actively involved in politics and more engaged, so much so that they feel like the only way to really create real change in the U.S. is to run for office. We have here is that we have this institution where institutions are not at full capacity. We have here this feeling or this sensation that something is not running at 100%, something remains shut down, something remains closed. We have here the Ten of Swords here. It means the betrayal to the American people. Although the government is open, especially governmental workers, they're not the one to benefit from this reopening. If anything, they're more likely to get hurt. And here you have it, the Sun card. The Sun card is representing the American people will overcome this, but there's a but. And here's the but. So we have this sensation here with the Five of Cups. There's certain things that open, certain things that remain closed. This is the Eight of Swords. The Eight of Swords is reversed. This means containment, refined, prison, right? This means to release. Something to release. So if anything, instead of things being like completely shut down, things are released out. I don't know how to explain that, but something's released out. I don't know why. I'm just saying something gets released out. Something just doesn't exist anymore. We have here, we have the world's card in reverse. The world's card is symbolizing the emperor. Things are shut down, right? Things are not at full capacity. This is the emperor's card. We have here upside down, which symbolizes information. I do feel like there is limited information, but I'm also getting more as well that during this reopening phase of the U.S. government, I do feel like there is certain benefits from the U.S. that is not at full capacity. So the world's card in reverse and the empress reverse is simply symbolizing, at least to me, that the U.S. is not at full capacity with the American people, and the empress card is simply symbolizing that those who have been injured or been hurt by this shutdown is not going to get the help or the leg up by the government. So essentially saying that the government is going to be rendered useless when it comes to helping certain people. So for example, if just say you've been unemployed and you need money to be able to pay your bill, the government's not coming to your aid. I don't see that happening. This is for entertainment, educational purposes only as well. Underneath this 10 of stories here, we have here the 4 of Wands, which means protest or betrayal. It's to prevent the protest. Remember, the American people feel very betrayed regardless of how the government's opened. I do feel like there is going to be this sentiment of anger. I do feel that we're not here yet to where people are mass protesting around the country. They're trying to prevent that. But we have the 10 of Swords here and the 4 of Wands reversed, which means protest. It does feel like there is going to be some groups of people who are going to seek to hurt the American people. And I do feel like even with the government opened, it's not going to be as intended. It's going to hurt people, especially when it comes to Thanksgiving weekend. As we go into the Sun card here, which is the revelation, the American people come out of this. Not the governmental workers, but the American people do come out of this. We have the Moon card here, which means something is hidden. They're just telling me that the energy and the sensation of the government shutdown, there was a deal that was made, undercut deal by both the Democrats and the Republicans to reopen the government temporarily, but it was basically a scam. That's what the Moon card is saying. The Moon card is essentially saying that whatever they did, whatever deal they made, they scammed the American people. This is not a legit reopening. This is like, it feels very much like this reopening phase of the U.S. government is very different because it doesn't feel like the way it has done in the past. There is something here that is within the fine print that's not being stated to the American people. And I just want you guys to be very aware of that. Just be very careful. Don't rely on the government. The government is not reliable and it cannot be trusted. All right, let me just take some water, and we're going to go ahead and see how this affects Donald Trump and see if maybe there's an Epstein vote in there somewhere. Alright, so Spirit Angels tell me with the government shutdown possibly reopening, with the House of Representatives now voting on whether or not they're going to reopen the U.S. government. How would the reopening of the U.S. government affect Donald Trump? The President of the United States, Donald Trump, the 47th President. How will it affect Donald Trump? And what is going to happen in the future energetically with Donald Trump between the U.S. House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate and the country as a whole when it comes to reopening the U.S. government? I'm hearing wielding of power and control. The fact that the Sun card comes in at the end the same way it happened for the American people is a little concerning to me. What is the challenge to Donald Trump? What is the challenge to Donald Trump? The future. So a challenging future is coming for Donald Trump in regard to the reopening of the U.S. government. Spirit Angel, tell me, what are the effects that Donald Trump is going to feel as the 47th President of the United States when reopening the U.S. government, when the House of Representatives choose to reopen the U.S. government under his term? What is going to happen energetically for Donald Trump? The country, how it's going to respond to Donald Trump and his reopening of the U.S. government? How are they going to respond? Give me all the cards you're going to give me. Okay. Ooh. Okay, so there is protest here. Alright, that makes sense. So we have the five of coins reversed. He avoided the inevitable. The inevitable is going to be the economic downturn. We are going to start to experience that towards the late of November into early December. Like I told you, we're going to start to see signs that's irreversible. This is the five of coins. We're heading in that direction now. The top of the deck here is we have the knight of coins. This is high risk, low reward. Because the fact that it's reversed told me it's a high risk, low reward, which means Donald Trump is taking a massive risk reopening the U.S. government. Very different than what you would have expected. Very different than what I would have expected. So when you start to look at more of the energy here, we're asking about Donald Trump and how will Donald Trump be affected by this reopening of the U.S. government. Now, reminder, Donald Trump is possibly going to undergo a impeachment trial or an investigation or the releasing of the Epstein file to the public, especially if the House goes back in session. And the fact that this card, the Wheel of Fortune, is represented in the future, that the most challenging aspect of Donald Trump and his presidency with this reopening of the U.S. government is the future, not what's happening now, what's happening in the future. We're going to try to find out what that future is, and maybe it comes up in the cards or not. All right, let's go back into the reading. So we have the Magician card. The first thing I'm hearing is wielding all power. Donald Trump is going to go back to wheeling and dealing and just making all these different things and start trying to consolidate the presidential power. He's trying to abuse the presidential immunity. That's what I'm hearing here. That this is going to be a lot more intense than it has been in August and July. This is going to speed up the process. Donald Trump is going to try to speed up the process to become a full-on dictator by consolidating power within the presidency itself. It's followed by the Seven of Pentacles. The Seven of Pentacles means opportunity. I do feel like Donald Trump is kind of going to go through a stagnation period where he's not really sure what avenue to take, because there's going to be so many issues that not only he created, but so many issues the country is undergoing that he's not sure what to tackle, if anything at all. He tackles one issue, but the thing is, I don't see him tackling any other issue. And that's why it's the Seven of Pentacles here. We also do have, as well as we do have the Seven of Wands here. The Seven of Wands is indicating resistance, pushback. So people around the world, especially when it comes to him, so Donald Trump is going to put forth more tariffs. I do see him using this initiative with the reopening of the government to put forth more tariffs, so definitely expect that. But also seeing massive pushback around the world. I do feel like a lot of people, for the first time ever, at least in other countries, are going to start putting what quote-unquote sanctions on the United States. And if you don't know what a sanction is, it's essentially all governmental services, any sort of trading, any sort of bill or trade bill or whatever, is completely nullified between the two nations, and is supposed to weaken the country's economy to the point where it forces either the government of the leader of that country to meet and negotiate, or to make the people rise up within that country to overtake the government. So that is what it feels very like. It feels like we're heading towards sanctions. The more he put tariffs on, I do see a lot of countries are sanctioning the United States entirely, destroying the U.S. economy in the process. We also have, as well as we have the Six of Pentacles, and the Six of Pentacles means opportunity or proposal. I do feel like there is more money being funneled out of the U.S. government rather than coming in. So I do feel like the U.S. is going to give more money and more resources to other nations around the world, but not addressing issues at home. We have here, as well, we do have the Sun card, and the Sun card is indicating to me, at least specifically, Donald Trump is one of those American people who will come out of this a little bit stronger, but it is going to tank him. Keep that in mind. Now let's go back. Let me just recap here. We have the Wheel of Fortune, which means something is challenging to Donald Trump in the future with this reopening of the U.S. government. Donald Trump is going to extend and try to consolidate power through presidential immunity, going to try to solidify his role in executive power. We have here the Seven of Pentacles. Donald Trump is in a stagnation period. He's not sure exactly what issues to tackle because the country is going through a lot of turmoil and a lot of issues, not only that he himself has created, but also for others within the nation that he has to deal with. I do feel like Donald Trump is going to be in so many places all at once, basically solving nothing. We have here, as well as we have the Seven of Wands here, which indicating pushback and resistance from Donald Trump to other nations, like tariffs and economic sanctions being put across the United States to weaken the United States economy as a form of pushback and retaliation against Donald Trump, further weakening the United States' ability to have a stable economy. As we start to head into the Sixth of Pentacles, the Sixth of Pentacles means that money is being funneled out from the United States into other countries, other resources. So the United States is not only weakening in terms of economic sanctions, but also the country is actually hemorrhaging in money. Like, for example, what I mean is like trade deals, like for example with Argentina, where the U.S. government by Donald Trump gave $80 billion to Argentina. I see very similar avenues as well. So Donald Trump reallocating American taxpayers' money to other nations while ignoring the issues at home. We also have here as well as we have the sun issue, which means Donald Trump does experience a little bit of a boost temporarily from this governmental shutdown, but that is overstated. It feels like more propaganda rather than something that's rooted in reality. We have here the challenge to the future that's coming is the possibility of protest. This is peaceful protest. This is peaceful protest. This is Black Lives Matter. The Six of Wands here is oppression versus the oppressed. This is reversed. This is sideways. This is in the past direction. It's facing the past direction, which tells me there's going to be a lot more bigger resistance, a lot more violent resistance because peaceful resistance isn't working anymore for Donald Trump. His peaceful resistance against the Republican regime is no longer working. Therefore, people are going to start to look for more a strenuous way of resolving issues here at home. Underneath the Michigan card, where Donald Trump tried to consolidate executive power, is going to be through the electoral college or possibly through the electoral system and electing a leader. I do feel like Donald Trump is going to try to change how elections work within the U.S. and what kind of power the federal government has in overseeing elections. As for the Seven of Pentacles, we have the Magician card. Donald Trump looking at certain policies and certain things that's going on in the United States that he himself created, but also things that the U.S. government is just undergoing, or the country as a nation is undergoing. We have here followed by the Magician card with the American flag reversed, which means things are not as they seem. And here you have it, the Scorpio and the Predator. So I do feel like this is not a leader who is focused on solving issues. It's a leader who's making sure that the predator is always on top and the prey is always on the bottom. Which has to do with also the cover up of the Epstein files and all the other criminal acts that they've done. So this is more about an administration that protects other criminals while putting the American people at that expense. We have the Seven of Wands here, which means massive pushback and resistance against other countries with tariffs and other countries attacking back using the World's card in reverse, which means governmental sanctions against the United States, further weakening the United States economy. And by doing so, we enter into the Six of Pentacles, which is indicating money being funneled out from the United States into other countries, like, for example, Argentina receiving $80 billion. You have the Death card, which is reversed, which tells you that massive change is going to be underway within the White House and the leadership and the style of government, which tells me the U.S. possibly under this type of style of government and governance by the Trump administration, we could undergo for the first time in the U.S., well, it's probably the second time in the U.S., where the U.S. declares bankruptcy. Underneath the Sun card reverse is this propaganda that Donald Trump is going to rebound from this, that Donald Trump is going to come out better from this, that from this governmental shutdown is a little bit overstated. This is the Fire card. This is telling us that things are not as they seem. That yeah, Donald Trump might benefit temporarily, like I said, but as we start to go into 2026, when things start to really heat up, I do see some massive issues in regard to the United States and a lot of the problem that it's going to start experiencing across the entirety of the United States as we start to enter into the new year, starting January 1st, 2026. So there is some major issues that Donald Trump is going to have to deal with, and I'm not exactly confident that Donald Trump has the leadership skill to be able to deal with them. So the last thing that I want to ask, at least in particular, if you don't mind, is the Epstein vote. Are they going to vote at all on the Epstein files? Are they going to release that, or is that something that's going to get delayed again? We're going to find out now. Okay. And then I'll leave you guys alone. Trust me. Alright, so let's ask. Alright, so Spirit Angels tell me, will the U.S. government or the House of Representatives currently that's going to be reopened, if they reopen the U.S. government, is there going to be a vote on whether or not they're going to release the Epstein files. We have here with Justice card reversed, we have the Knight of Wands reversed, and the Queen of Cups reversed. This is to keep something contained. It is out in the open. This is the end card. This is the future. This is Justice. Having justice be served, but it is reversed, which is a little bit concerning. To me, this is the Republican Party. This is the card that represents the Democratic Party, which means both of them are going to fall. If this does release, both Democrats and Republicans are complicit. We are already aware of that, so keep that in mind. But the justice card being reversed, not only for the Republican Party, but it also represents something a little bit more strenuous, that if they were to release the Epstein files, it wouldn't be justice for those victims. That's not what this is for. We have here as well as we have the Knight of Wands, which means something is moving forward in the future. In the future, I do see the Epstein files moving forward because this is containment and it's the Queen of Cups reversed, which tells me something is no longer contained and it's not public knowledge. So I do feel like as we start to lead away from trying to get justice for victims, we start to move towards releasing the Epstein file. I do see like there is a path, there is a momentum, there is a movement to releasing the Epstein files. We do have here a rebirth or reborn. So a phase is ending for the Epstein files and the possible release. I do feel like that is going to occur. And here you have it, the 10 of Swords here. What they're going to try to do is they're going to try to change how the public perceives it. So you'll know we'll start getting ready to release the Epstein files when you start to see politicians and movies and media start to talk about the Epstein files and how it's not that big of a deal and all these type of things. It's supposed to desensitize whatever is in the Epstein file to lessen the blow on politicians and people around the world who are actually engaged or involved in this type of strenuous behavior. Because on the top deck here we have the Three of Cups, which tells me a new leader, and the Three of Cups. So the question is this Epstein file going to lead to a new leadership or new leaders? Is it going to happen during the time of presidential election? Not exactly sure, but it is the Three of Cups, and the Three of Cups mean, yeah, and the American people are going to be aware of the Epstein file. The question is are they going to do anything about it? Or the American people just going to shrug it off and be like, all right, listen, another day in America? Or are they going to do something? That is something that's yet to be remained, and that is what politicians around the world, including those who have engaged in this type of behavior, are they going to do anything? And what they're hoping for is to do it under Donald Trump's presidency, because the MAGA people will be unwilling to do anything about the Epstein file if it has their best man, Donald Trump, in it. I'm just saying that out of the blue because that is the truth. When Donald Trump's name is on something, they're more likely not to look at the facts. That's all. Alright guys, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, peace out. I love you, and I'll see you soon. Bye.